right, guys, how many times have you had days where your underwear just doesn't fit or feel right? You know, I've had many of those days, and it's not just a personal problem, it's everyone's problem. No one likes watching you readjust. Fortunately, Tommy John has the cure. You know, Tommy John, the 21st century men's underwear brand that provides mind-blowing comfort. I know because I discovered them, and I wear them every day. Now imagine this. Super light, breathable fabrics combined with state-of-the-art design for a fit so perfect, it's almost like wearing nothing at all, and it's impossible to get a wedgie. They even have this patented horizontal quick draw fly that'll revolutionize the way you go to the bathroom. So for a truly unbelievable undergarment experience, visit TommyJohn.com and enter Alden, A-L-D-E-N, at checkout and receive 20% off your entire first order. That's A-L-D-E-N and receive 20% off your entire first order. Guys, all of their underwear is backed by their best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free guarantee, so you really have nothing to lose. Visit TommyJohn.com.
All right. My name is Michael Alden, and welcome to another edition of the Alden Report. This episode of the Alden Report is brought to you by Cloisonne and Cloisonne.com. Cloisonne is one of the fastest growing direct selling network marketing companies in the world. If you'd like some more information about Cloisonne, it's CLOIXONNE.com. If you want to make a little bit of money, if you want to make a lot of money, and if you want to change your financial future, then check these guys out. Again, it's CLOIXONNE.com. Chris Norton is my guest, folks. I am super excited. You know, I came across Chris in a video that my girlfriend had sent me. Really one of those inspirational videos that you see a lot of times on Facebook. And this one kind of really struck a chord with me. Chris and I have talked briefly before we went on the podcast. He doesn't know the story, but I have a very close friend that suffered a very similar injury that Chris suffered. And we're going to talk to him about what happened to him when he was younger a few years ago. Actually, I think about 7 years ago now, if I do the math. And, the best part, not the best part, but one of the things that I'm excited about is his book. It's called The Power of Faith. It's available on Amazon. It's available on iTunes. I believe it's available probably in Books A Million and BarnesandNoble.com. It's really available everywhere. It's a very inspirational book. He wrote it actually with his father. Again, it's called The Power of Faith. And what you're going to hear from Chris today is something that, for me, again, it kind of touches, deep inside my heart, and it really makes you really appreciate life and appreciate the human spirit and how to overcome adversity, because this guy is doing it every single day. He's changing people's lives every single day. I'm very excited that he took the time. Chris, thanks for being my guest.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Appreciate being on here.
Well, again, so I came across your story on Facebook, and I think at the time it had something like 5 million views or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, the one video got over 200 million. I think almost 300 million.
300
views
million
on the
views.
one video.
That is absolutely amazing. Yeah. I mean, I know, and it was as a result of that video. I mean, I know you've been on, CBS Evening News, NBC Nightly News, ABC News, Today. You've been on Time, USA. You've been on all these different things. Was it because of that video? Is that how your story kind of really came to light?
Yeah, it did. That's how it really got to a national, not only a national audience, but a worldwide audience of people kind of following the story and knowing about the story was from that video. Now, when I was first injured, just within my college community and kind of like a small following within the state of Iowa, they all really knew about it from the beginning. But now it's just kind of really grown because of that video.
All right, so tell us a little bit about your story. For those of our viewers and listeners that don't know your story, Chris, tell us a little bit, where you're from, and what your background's like, and really what happened on that fateful day in October of 2010, and how your life changed, and then we'll kind of just go from there, I guess. Yeah,
that sounds great. So I was just an 18-year-old freshman in college up at Luther College in Northeast Iowa. I came from a small town, Iowa, just wanting to go to school just like any other kid to get a great education, make some lifelong friends, and play some football. Well, in the fifth game of the season, as a freshman, I was playing on the different special teams units, and we scored a touchdown, so it was our turn to kick the ball off. Well, we kicked the ball off. I'm sprinting downfield. I see the angle of what I want to take to cut the ball carrier off. and I dove for his legs, which I've done thousands of times. But on this play, I just happened to just mistime my jump probably by a split second. And instead of getting my head in front of the ball carrier, my head struck right with his knees. And instantly, I lost all feeling and movement from my neck down. And I was completely conscious. So I'm just... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I didn't want to cut you off, but I played football my whole life, and when the way you described it in the book, and it just really kind of hit home for me. And again, we'll get into a buddy of mine that suffered something similar, who I also played football with. Okay, so you're on the field, and for those of you who are football enthusiasts like myself and who played football, I know you're big. Was it the Iowa State fan? Is it? Are you a big fan of Iowa? Is it Iowa State?
No, it's the University of Iowa.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. But that's in that special team scenario of the kickoff. I don't know what the data is, but that play in particular is a pretty violent one, right? Because people are running full speed, essentially 100 yards from each other, as fast as they can, right? Is that a common injury at that play?
Well, when these kind of spinal cord injuries occur for football, typically it's going to happen on a kickoff or a punt where, you're spread out a long ways and you're getting a lot of momentum on both ends. And it's just like the high velocity hits is what really causes the damage. So that's kind of why they've been changing the rules up for those different plays to negate those injuries happening. So I know for me, we had a 10-yard running start up to the line where the ball is kicked off. Right. I know today you only get a 5-yard head start before you hit the line. And then there's a couple other variation of rules of where they shorten the field for the kickoff play to also help kind of slow down the speed of the players from making those high impact. Yeah, and when I
was reading your book, I mean, again, you played football pretty much your whole life, right? And then so you were a freshman in college, and so take us back to I'm sure. I mean, again, I've only been through 4 chapters of your book, man, but like I tell you, for those of you again, I just had nose surgery, and I think about the stuff that you've gone through and that you're continuing to go through, and I was like, this is nothing compared to what this guy has gone through, and it's just amazing, your spirit. So take us back to that moment again, if you don't mind. I mean, and so you're there, you're injured, and again, from reading your book, you can't move. I think you were face down. Walk us through like what's going through your head.
Well, at the time, I was kind of a naive 18-year-old. I thought I was invincible, that within seconds or minutes I'll be able to just have the power kind of return to my body and just walk off the field. So I'm probably just unusually calm, and the trainers eventually run out. They safely roll me on my back, and they start asking me questions like, Chris, can you make a fist with your hand? And I couldn't move a thing. They asked, Chris, can you feel us touching your legs? I couldn't feel them touching my legs. And they kept asking these different questions. Nothing was coming back. Eventually, EMTs make it onto the field. And after their assessment, they decided that they're going to need a helicopter to fly me out. And that's when I knew, okay, this is very serious. I've been to a lot of sporting events, and I understand the precautions to, you want the EMTs involved, the ambulance and everything, but a helicopter was on another level that I've never heard of or experienced. And so that's when the fear really struck me. I remember just closing my eyes to block it all out.
Yeah, again, reading that part of the story where, you trying to like maintain your composure. Again, just real quick, if you're just joining us, we're on with Chris Norton. He's the author of The Power of Faith. It's an amazing story. It's just really kind of getting started. And the story really started in a day back in October, a beautiful day, actually, a beautiful sunny day in front of his family and friends back in October of 2010, where Chris suffered a spinal injury, and now he is out. He's He stands up. We'll talk a little bit about that. He stands up. He's still continuing to go through the therapy to get better, and he's inspiring not only people that have suffered this type of injury throughout the years, but just really people all over the world. So again, if you want some more information about Chris, you can find him on Facebook. It's Chris Norton, but you can also just go to nortonmotivation.com. He's on Twitter. He's on Instagram. You can find his book, The Power of Faith. I'm showing it right here on camera. It's available literally everywhere where books are sold. I was fortunate enough, Chris actually sent me a signed copy I could share right there, which is actually kind of cool. I love that. But I did, Chris, just so you know, I also did buy it today on iTunes, so I could read it while I was exercising this morning.
Awesome.
Okay, so all right, we know now. I want to kind of just fast forward a little bit. So now you get to the point where you realize you're in the hospital, and it's not good. Tell us, like, again, what's going through your head as an 18-year-old kid. And before you answer that, I mean, I'm 42 years old. And I've been pretty fortunate throughout my whole life, and you know, and I just had septum surgery, and I was like, it's been a horrific week for me. But I think about, you know, you're flown by a helicopter. I think a second helicopter to a hospital that you didn't even know, and then they're telling you, hey, look, we're gonna put you in traction. We're gonna give you a couple MRIs, and then you're going into surgery. At 18 years old, man, that's gotta be just truly mind-blowing. Like how do you mentally handle that?
You know, it was extremely difficult because, you know, like you said, you're 18 years old. You just thought, you know, these things just weren't supposed to happen to you. They're supposed to happen to other people, right? That happens to, like, newspapers, and you read it on television or something, but you never actually imagine that something like this could really be happening to you. And I remember I had my eyes closed. I was praying. I was just trying to do anything I could to help just collect myself to get through those darkest moments. But you know, I definitely just prayed a lot, just kind of turn it over to God. That's a big part of my life too, it's just my faith. But I just wanted to also just kind of stay calm and let the medical staff do their work, make sure they're getting all the information that they needed from me and from the different tests. And obviously I went to surgery, and I woke up, and one of the first conversations I had was with a surgeon, and he told me I had a 3% chance to ever regain any feeling or movement back below the neck. And obviously, you know, that's some devastating news, but it was something that, you know, the percentages went in one ear out the other. I just was not going to let this define me. I was kind of stubborn in that way, but we all get dealt with bad news and challenges and different changes in our life. And I think comes to a point where there's two paths you can go. You can either accept it, or you do whatever you can to overcome it. And I found that no matter your physical ability, there's two things we all can control, and that's our attitude and effort. And those are the two things I was going to focus on each and every day to get myself better and to eventually get to, you know, where I am at today.
Now, you know, I wanted to ask you about that, about your thought process, because it's just remarkable at 18 years old, suffering that type of injury, that you're able to fairly quickly mentally, you know, understand where you're at and what you need to do. Is this something that you learned from your coaches? I know you're close with your family. Is it something that you learned from others? Like, hey, like what you just said, you can either go one or two ways. Where did that come from? Yeah,
I think it's from multiple experiences, but definitely like my family, definitely like school and sports. I mean, I've learned at an early young age that if you want whatever you want in life, you have to work for it. And when you put in the hard work, the results will follow. And so another thing my dad always told me, if you don't like where you're at, then do something about it. And that's just kind of how I was raised, is that if you're not satisfied with something, then it's up to you to change it. And it's not going to change itself unless you can personally change. And so I've always kind of had that kind of mentality that I can't be lazy. I have to work for everything that I want in my life, and nothing's going to be handed to you. And so this is the same kind of situation, but just escalated by a lot. But I knew I had to just apply the same sort of principles to get through it. And so,
that is
yep.
No, again, it's I wrote down, if you don't like where you're at, then do something about it. But it sounds simple, right? Both of my books are fairly simple books. The stuff that I've learned from other people that it's how to control your thoughts, and your thoughts don't control you. You control your thoughts. All that stuff that seems kind of simple and basic, but when you're actually confronted with it in a real life scenario, and like you said, kind of more than kind of escalated. You were told that you had a 3% chance of ever standing again, let alone walking. But yet you were able to, and I'm saying to myself, man, this kid was told at 18 that, and when was it that your dad gave you that advice? Was it right around the same time or before?
It was before. It came after I was in junior high. I had a terrible basketball tournament. Very competitive, and I just went to the couch, started pouting, watching TV, playing video games like probably any other kid would.
Right.
But he knew how upset I was about the basketball tournament, so he's like, well, if you really are upset and you care about it, so if you don't like where you're at, then do something about it. And that kind of just like flipped the switch on for me. It's like, you know what, you're right. I could be doing ball handling, I could be doing shooting hoops outside, or whatever it is, to getting better. If I'm really not satisfied with it, I'm going to have to change the results by changing how I prepare and how I work every single day. So yeah, those things really came into play. You don't realize how important those little things are until, you are put in a situation where if I would have quit, things would have been that much more worse too. So I also knew that I felt like there's only one option to go. Now people do see it as two options. That I just never think of it like that, because it is easy to quit or feel sorry for yourself. Everybody can do that, but if you can do what is hard and push through it and do whatever you can to fight it, that's only going to make your life easier. And I think it was Les Brown who said, if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. And if you do what is hard, your life will be easy.
Yeah, that's a great quote. And for me, again, I'm inspired, by you and by others that are kind of dealt this hand. And you're like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna keep pushing. I'm just gonna keep getting better. I'm gonna work at it. But you learned it earlier, which I think is great. And so now I'm gonna just kind of be jumping all around if you don't mind. But so you again, if you'd like some more information about Chris, you can just go to nortonmotivation.com. He's a motivational speaker now. He's an author. He's out there helping people and really kind of showing people that it really isn't that bad, no matter what happens in your life. What made you decide that you were going to go out and talk to people about what happened and what you're doing? Was that your own doing, or how did that come about?
It all came about when I was in college, about a year after my injury. A local nonprofit foundation group asked me if I could speak at their fundraiser, and so I spoke at their fundraiser, and it went really well. And they really encouraged me to continue to speak, and then you can speak for a living. And that just kind of blew my mind, that
right,
just going out and speaking to groups, you can get paid to do that, but more importantly, you can make an impact on people. And really, I saw how my story was able to really inspire the audience, and so they really helped me get going with my speaking career. And I just kind of started speaking to smaller groups to kind of get started, and now it's really has blossomed into a full-time profession that I love doing, and it helps me fulfill my purpose, which is to inspire as many people as possible. That's why I feel that's my calling, and this is really my purpose in life. And so I feel so fulfilled. I love life, and I love what I'm doing. So to have this opportunity to help other people is amazing.
Yeah, I saw some of your speeches, and then I saw one. I think it was in front of 15,000, 20,000 people. It was outdoors at some sort of big sporting event. Is that what you're starting to do now? You're starting to feel almost like arena type style speeches. And before you answer that, one of the questions I was like, man, I spoke in front of some big crowds before, but not outside like that. And you're on the microphone, and you can't really necessarily hear like your own voice, right? Was that hard to do, to speak in front of all those people? Not from a whether mental state as far as whether you're nervous or not, just by getting your rhythm down.
Yeah, the rhythm was definitely the most difficult part, because as you're speaking, you're hearing the audio throughout the stadium about probably like almost a 2-second delay.
Right.
So you're a couple of words ahead of what everybody else is hearing, and you could hear the loudspeaker. So that was really difficult to just try to stay in the moment, not get caught up in listening to yourself throughout the stadium. So that was interesting. I've never done something like that prior to that. Now, I typically don't do a stadium. That was for a national championships for track. But I mean, I do speak in front of large audiences. In fact, today, I'm in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm going to speak at the NCAA Division II National Championship Festival. There'll be 1,500 people at this event.
That's great, man. Again, we are on with Chris Norton. He's a motivational speaker. He's an author. You can learn more information about Chris at nortonmotivation.com. Back in 2010, he suffered a spinal cord injury that he was given a 3% chance to stand, let alone walk. And we're going to talk a little bit about what he's doing right now and what he does at the end of his speeches. But if you'd like some more information about Chris, again, you can go to nortonmotivation.com. His book right here, The Power of Faith, I have to be honest, I haven't read the whole thing yet, but I'm about 4 chapters in, and it's just amazing. Again, for those of you who are just joining us, my girlfriend actually forwarded me this video, and he said over 300 million views on the video, which is just really amazing. That video in and of itself inspired me, and I can just imagine what it's doing for other people, and I can also just imagine what Chris is doing for people live. And I saw some of your testimonials; they were just awesome. Again, so if you want some more information about Chris Norton, you can just go to nortonmotivation.com. And just real quick, again, today's episode is brought to you by Cloisonne and Cloisonne.com. It's one of America's fastest growing network marketing companies. If you'd like some more information about Cloisonne, you can just go to CLOIXONNE.com. If you're looking to make a little bit of money, if you're looking to make a lot of money, if you're looking to change your financial future, go there, check it out. It's a really innovative company, CLOIXONNE.com. Chris, so you're a busy guy. Thank you for taking the time. I looked at was on your website, and I did notice that you were you were speaking today, plus taking the time today to come on the podcast. Tell me about your organization, SCI CAN, what that's all about. And before you do, so I just want to tell you again personally. So I have a good friend who I played football with, and he suffered a spinal cord injury, which confined him to a wheelchair. Is a quadriplegic. And the interesting thing about when I was looking at reading your stories, and when we played football together, he routinely suffered stingers, right? And he would almost kind of lose feeling in parts of his body. And when I was reading in your book, that had happened to you a couple times prior to this injury as well. Is there a connection there? And that's why I want to kind of tie in SCI CAN, because I know that SCI CAN helps raise awareness and money and help others that have suffered with that, but also some of the research. Is there a connection there with the stingers in that type of injury?
I don't know that. I've never been told that before, if there is a connection.
Okay.
And I want to say with my stinger, I want to say it was probably, I only had it like once where it was like severe.
Right. But you had lost all feeling
stinger,
then.
But
right?
Yeah, I lost it on one half of my body. It just went completely numb and motionless. And so that was a really odd feeling. So I thought it was the same thing was going on to me when I was injured on October 16th. But I don't know if there's a connection. I mean, that's a good question, but I don't have the answer to that.
All right. Well, tell me. All right. So tell me about SCI CAN, and I want to let's see how long we got here. We've been on for about call it 20 minutes or so. I want to talk to you. I want you to tell me about SCI CAN, what SCI CAN's doing, how it's helping people. But then I'd like to talk to you about, and hopefully you know a little bit about. I'm guessing you probably do, about the technology, what's going on right now in the world of spinal cord injuries. Because I follow it pretty closely because of my good friend. It's pretty wild what's going on. But tell me about SCI CAN, what they're doing, and how they're helping people.
Yeah, of course. So again, when I spoke for the foundation, the Lynch Family Foundation. They also encouraged me to start my own organization and maybe raise some funds for myself. But I thought right away that it'd be more beneficial to give away the money and to buy equipment to help people with disabilities. And so the SCI CAN Foundation was then born to help facilitate opportunities for people who've been injured or any kind of disability, to help them with their recovery and with their health and wellness. Because the equipment that I use and that anybody else with a spinal cord injury or disability uses is very expensive. It's high-level technology equipment. There's obviously not a huge supply or demand, but we want to help facilitate those opportunities. So we've purchased I think it's now over $500,000 worth of therapy equipment and opportunities for people to get better and to improve. Because amazing. I've benefited myself from that technology, and the NCAA helped me get some of that technology to use. So, for instance, a bike that I use is about $30,000.
Wow!
And I use that all the time. Well, most people, especially after a spinal cord injury, you don't have $30,000 laying around to spend on a therapeutic equipment.
Right.
And so, we want to just help facilitate those opportunities for people to continue to get better, continue to get healthy. Because I know there's people out there who are determined, like I am, to get better. But they just don't have the opportunity to do so. And so we want to help those people get that opportunity and to have more success stories like myself.
So if someone wanted more information about SCI CAN, is it just SCICAN.com? Is that the website?
SCICANFoundation.com.
So it's SCICANFoundation.com. So, you know, if you know someone out there, or if you are listening and you suffered some sort of spinal cord injury, you can just go to SCICANFoundation.com. I believe you can also find it right off of Chris's website, NortonMotivation.com. Chris, you know, so when I think about, you know, I hate to always bring it back to me, right? But when I think about my daily life in you know, getting up in the morning. And sometimes I get up in the morning and, you know, I don't feel good and I don't want to get out of bed, you know, but I do, you know, because I'm a motivational guy myself, right? But we're all human, right? So as an able-bodied person, right, like myself, I'm pretty fortunate. I get up every morning. I deal with whatever I have to deal with. Tell me, just for our viewers and listeners, like, what is your day like? And I don't, and maybe it's the wrong question to ask, but the only reason why I'm asking is because I just want people to really understand, especially the people out there that have not suffered what you suffered back in October of 2010. You know, your life is, you know, there's no other way to put it. It's not easy, right? I mean, there's a lot of things you have to do just to wake up in the morning, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Michael, like you said, I think it's what makes my story that much more impactful, and why I get asked to speak to groups, because it kind of helps put things in perspective, put your life and the challenges that you're facing in perspective. But the reality is we all face adversity. We all face challenges. They're all at varying degrees, but to us, it's important. It's a big deal, no matter what the level is. And so, you know, I just really try to help kind of keep those things in perspective and how to overcome it. But as far as like my routine, it's added a lot of different layers than obviously before, because I need help getting out of bed. I need somebody to help with the clothing. I need help with the transfer. I need help with, you know, getting food or with coffee. There's a lot of things that, you know, I require a lot of assistance. That's a lot of work to do. So, I mean, it's easy to take those things for granted, just rolling out of bed, right? And just getting your own self ready, or even putting yourself into bed. I need, you know, someone to help me with those different routines that are so, you know, to us, just such elementary routines before. But now for me, it's kind of a bigger deal. So it's an operation of, I have to plan and, you know, coordinate with, whether it's my fiance or a friend to help me out. And thankfully, you know, I have great family and connections and friends and insurance that can help me out with those different pieces. But it adds up. It's a lot, but it's definitely something to take for granted for.
Yeah, you know, and I know a little bit about that, again, just because my good friend. But you know, as you're talking through that, and I've had people say to me, you know, sometimes I'm the classic, I think we're cut from the same cloth, football players, probably type A personalities. And you probably didn't really ask for a lot of help in the earlier stages of your life. But I want to kind of ask you two things. One, was that difficult for you? And then two, we all need help regardless anyway, right? Regardless of where you're at in life, regardless of whatever your disability is or what have you, we all need help, right? And people are so afraid to ask for it, right?
Yes.
I mean, you were forced to, essentially, right? But so let me ask you, was that hard for you as a football player, a macho dude? Was that something to mentally that you had to adjust to?
It really was, because I mean, I went from having the most independent freedom of my life, being in college, to then being dependent on everyone for everything. And so I hated having to ask for the smallest things. I had to ask people to help scratch an itch on my face.
Right.
Or, stuff like blow my nose. Like, there's things that you just don't want to ask that from somebody else. You want to be able to do it yourself. And kind of like, also like you said, like, as an 18-year-old, you want to be like a man and independent. And it felt like at the time, like it was taking away my manlyhood, that having to be so dependent and asking of so much from other people was hard and it was difficult. And then there's actually I talk about it in my book, but there's kind of a transformation. I went from hating to ask and always, being really nice about it. But then I got to a point where I was like, sometimes a little bitter, where I was just like, well, this is just expected because, I can't do it. Right. So can you just help me? But I realized that no matter what you're going through, when you need help or you ask of help, it doesn't matter how much you require or not, you need to ask it in a nice way, like be pleasant, be appreciative. And I learned the more appreciative I was and really praised the people that could help me out because I depended on them, more likely than the more they wanted to help. Because I think everybody wants a sense of appreciation, and I try to always do a better job of that, of just being conscious of how much I appreciate other people for their help and for getting that. And so I think that's something that, we all can do, a little better of. It's just making sure we appreciate other people and are conscious about that.
Yeah, and also, and again, I think it's touched upon it again. I apologize. I did only read the first 4 chapters, but so far it's amazing. The Power of Faith, Chris Norton, an amazing story, amazing book. You can find it everywhere. Go to nortonmotivation.com. As human beings, it's my belief that if we didn't ask for help, we wouldn't be where we are today. But so many people, for whatever reason, are it's usually a pride thing, or they just feel like they're being on some sort of burden on whatever it is in life. I myself, my first book is titled "Ask More, Get More," right? So I found at a very young age that if you don't ask, one, you're not going to know the answer. But if you don't ask, no one's going to help you, right?
Yep. No, that's so true, and that was something that I was kind of forced to learn, to ask for help, and then also how to ask in the right way. But I'm thankful that I was able to overcome that, because as you said, the more you can ask, the more obviously you'll be able to receive. And I think it also puts you in a position where you want to also offer more. I want to be able to offer more to the people who have helped me. And I think it's kind of a two-way street there. And so I think it's really beneficial to still ask. And even if you're kind of a prideful person, you have your different vulnerabilities, I think if you can get over that first step of just asking for help, I think you'll realize, how much that will take away the burden from you. And then you also realize that, like you said, we all need help. Everybody needs help in some varying degree. And if you can open up about the things that you need help with, I think you find that other people will start to open up themselves for the things that they need help. And I think as humans, I think we have a good, kind of a nature about us of wanting to help and being kind. And I think the more you get to know each other and your vulnerabilities and insecurities, the more likely you're going to be able to help and want to help.
I want to ask you about again, I've only read the first 4 chapters, but I just keep going back to those moments when you're in the helicopter with your eyes closed and just kind of like trying to think about it not really happening, and then that one incident where you're essentially kind of having a bit of a panic attack. But positive mental attitude, where you're at right now in life, and where you've come from, almost 7 years ago, just under 7 years ago. Maintaining a positive mental attitude. We always hear about it, being quote positive, but for anybody, it's my belief it's something that you need to work at. Are you working at it every day? Is it or is it become to the point where it is almost like habit for you? Like you wake up, you're like, man, I'm happy I'm alive. Like how do you maintain that positive attitude every day?
Yeah, I think with being positive and having the right attitude, it kind of starts with a sense of gratitude and appreciation for what you do have, and when you can focus on all the different blessings and the things that you had to be appreciative for. Life right there just instantly you have instant gratification. It's easy to focus on the things you don't have and what somebody else may have as things that you wish for and whatnot. But I just have found if I can just think about all the things that I do have and have to look forward to, that just instantly lifts my spirits up. I think so. Far too often we just take for granted the little things that we have. And obviously as an athlete, I valued my physical ability. That was everything. For having been thrust in this position of suffering spinal cord injury, I realized how important my relationships are and my connections with people, and how I can offer value, and my self-worth doesn't come from my physical movements. And I just always also remind myself that it could always be worse. I could be, living with a trach and not be able to breathe on my own, and not be able to feed myself. There's so many little things like that I really appreciate that I can do now than where I was at the beginning of my injury. And now I never compare myself to before I got hurt, because I just want to put myself in that position to really compare, kind of an apples to oranges sort of thing. My life is different, and so it's a waste of time to go down the path of comparing myself as a able-bodied athlete.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And earlier, do you have how much time do you got? Because I could talk to you all day. Do you have at least another 15 minutes? I know we're going long, but
yeah.
All right, cool. So
yeah, I do.
Good, awesome. Because I just. By the way, my friend's name is Eric Shears, and I've seen, he suffered the injury about a little over 10 years ago, and I never went to any of his. We're not like super close. We played linebacker together, and he's a year older than me. We're definitely we consider him a good friend, and he posted on Facebook the physical therapy that he does to this day, and it blew me away, man. And by the way, he was. I'm a big dude. We both played linebacker. He was like the fittest guy I've ever seen, big, jacked up, just wicked muscular, super athlete, same, and man, I watched the rehab, and again, he's technically a quadriplegic, but he has full movement. Well, I wouldn't say full movement, but he can, operate the wheelchair and drive with his hands. When I go back to your day-to-day routine, and you talk about taking things for granted, man, and I see the type of stuff that you have to do, it does blow my mind. Are you in rehabilitation essentially every single day? Are there things that you're doing every day to try and get better, to increase your mobility, to increase the strength, to stand up longer, to walk, and all these other things? Is there something that you're doing every single day?
Yeah, there is. I'm always trying to walk every single day. I need to walk with somebody.
Right.
But I'm always trying to walk, stand. I do when I'm not on the road, I do 3 hours a day of training, and I'm just constantly trying to get a little better, just one day at a time. I know in the video, for those who've seen the graduation walk video, I'm holding on to Emily with 2 arms, a pretty firm grip, and then she moves her arms down on my hips to help control my hips as I was fatiguing walking across the stage. Well, today we've been able to walk much further than that with just holding on to one arm. And so just one arm and walking. So my progress is still coming, and something that I'm still working at. And I don't know how long it will take me to walk independently, but it's just something I'm going to take, one day at a time.
Yeah, it's amazing. By the way, Emily is a special person. By the way, I mean, not to be disrespectful, but man, you are one lucky dude. She's a beautiful woman, man. Good for you.
Yes, she is. Thank you very much.
When is the wedding day? Is it coming soon? I mean, I saw the video of the Memorial Day when you proposed. When's the wedding day?
We're thinking next February, March is kind of what we're thinking. So 1 year.
All right.
We're thinking is the wedding down in Florida.
All right. It sounds like a plan. Now I wanted to maybe talk to you a little bit about, because again I see it all the time, the technology and what's going on now in the world of spinal cord injuries. I mean, it's wild, right? I mean, I've seen things from exoskeletons to implanted muscle stem that essentially bypasses some of the nerves. Tell me what's going on in the world of spinal cord injury, and assuming this didn't exist, I think you're gonna be walking a lot sooner than most because of your drive. But with this technology, is it gonna speed things up? Is it gonna get people out of wheelchairs a lot faster than we think?
Yeah, I think it really will. I think the future is really promising. I think they've really have ramped up the research, and things are really moving along. And I love reading about the different research articles and the different things that are happening in that world, because I think it was just the technology and the research just really was really behind times, and things are now finally accelerating. But I know the one thing that's really promising to me that I'm most excited about is the epidural spinal stimulator, which you kind of reference. They implant pretty much a stimulation device on your spinal cord, and they have these devices for nerve pain, but now they're using something very similar to put right below the injury site to help reconnect the nerve signals. And they've been having with it's just still in the clinical trials and research process right now, and nothing's been FDA approved, and something is like a open public practice. But I think within a couple of years that will be, and I think that will really change people's lives. I think it would really change my life, but it also makes it that much more important to keep your physical health up. It's easy to kind of fall behind. It's your physical recovery when you're in a wheelchair. It's just, there's so many more variables and obstacles for you to be able to get a good workout in and to maintain your muscles and bone density. But I think it's really important now more than ever to really keep your physical fitness up in preparation for some of these breakthroughs in science. Yeah,
I was talking to somebody who I know he's in his 60s, and he suffered, it's crazy. It was body surfing on the Cape, and suffered an injury, and he's been in a chair ever since. And one of the things he said, he was kind of joking about it. He goes, our shoulders aren't designed to take all this beating and this activity. He's like, so I'm in a wheelchair, I'm a paraplegic, but now I need shoulder replacement in both of my shoulders. And getting, like you said, getting that workout in is becoming like almost impossible for him now.
Yeah, that's the thing. Your shoulders weren't designed to be your primary movement. It's supposed to be your legs. Your legs are supposed to be able to take that sort of endurance, or endure that kind of physical movements and strains, and not your shoulders. But yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people having shoulder surgery because of how much use they get.
It's again, man, I tell you what, I have another close friend who his wife I don't know. I mean, again, I think it's like you said, it's you go one or two paths. But a friend of mine's wife, she has severe rheumatoid arthritis to the point where she had to actually have both of her She had to lose both of her legs from the knee down just because of severe wounds or body's unable to heal, and so she had that adjustment period. And man, her name's Julie, and I talked to her here and there, and she inspires me like you inspire me. It was like, man, like, again, I may have a bad day, or again, for those of you listening, man, if you're having a bad day, you don't feel good, you're tired, whatever it is, I want you to think about not only Chris, but I want you to think about all the people out there, quite frankly, there's no other way to put it, that have it much worse than you and doing some great things. And what excites me about Chris and others that are out there is that Chris has taken this adversity, he's taken, this difficult, just horrific event, and taken it and turned it around into a positive event, and he's helping other people. He's inspiring other people. I'm a pretty emotional guy as it is, and when I just watched that one video, man, I got to tell you, it brought me to tears, and I didn't even know you, dude, and I was just like, and I've seen a million videos like it, but it was just something about your drive and the story and your relationship with Emily, and then, reading your book and your family. So again, folks, if you're watching, if you're listening, and you feel like you're having a bad day, I want you to go, and I want you to pick up The Power of Faith When Tragedy Strikes. I've read a lot about Chris. Again, I've only read about 4 chapters. He co-wrote it with his father, so his father kind of gives his perspective of what he was going through and has gone through at the same time. And by the way, man, it's very well written. I think he did a great job. I've written a couple books. It's not easy to do. So go to NortonMotivation.com. You can also find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks. I believe it's probably on Books A Million. You just Google The Power of Faith, Chris Norton. It's a great book. It's a great inspirational book, and I love what you do, what you're doing, Chris. Before we let you go, I don't know if this is going to be a spoiler alert a little bit, but one of the things that you're doing now at the end of your speeches, which I think is pretty awesome. Tell us about how you kind of close your speeches. What do you leave the crowd with, and then what's your kind of grand finale? Should we do this? Should we tell people this, or should we hope that they hire you? I don't know. What should we do?
I think it kind of gets people excited. I think it means that much more being in the room and hearing the story in its entirety, and it really brings it all together with my message of we all have the power to stand. And so obviously it goes with well that at the end of my speeches, I literally just started this last week, where I stand up to deliver my closing lines. And I have, if Emily's there, she'll stand with me, or if my business partner and trainer, Alex Peterson's there, one of them will stand me up so they can help me as I close, kind of do my closing remarks, and just kind of leave people with kind of wrapping up what I just spoke about, and give them some things and challenge them to go out and do everything I just told them to do. Just told to do, follow your heart, have the right attitude, give a full effort, create your purpose. And I think it really just brings the message all together, and it really emphasizes my point. And obviously, with my brand being the power to stand, standing up at the end is just a great way to end things, and it really gets people excited.
Yeah, I read the article about it, and and you talked a little bit about kind of mentally what you went through that first time, and it was a big risk for you to do that. And what I loved about it is that any successful person in any part of their life, whether it be personal or business or whatever it is, there's always risk involved, and you took a big risk, and obviously it's paid off, and it's going to continue to pay off and inspire people. Chris, it's really been amazing having you on here again, folks. If you'd like some more information about Chris Norton, you can just go to NortonMotivation.com. You can hire him. He speaks literally all over the world, motivating people, telling people, his story, which is, it's just a remarkable story. And again, for me, sometimes when I'm down and out and I don't feel good, I think about, Chris Norton. I originally thought about my friend Eric and Julie, my friend Julie, and some others. But what this guy has gone through at 18 years of age and how he's turned it around. He's raised over $500,000, and he's continuing to raise money to help other people. He's inspiring other people, and he's actually changing, the world. And so, people always talk about how God acts in mysterious ways, and it's just really amazing what happened to him then and where he is now. And I can't wait to see, Chris, where you're going to be in the future, because it's pretty awesome, your trajectory as it is. So, again, Chris, thank you for coming on. If you'd like some more information about Chris, again, just go to nortonmotivation.com. Again, it's Norton motivation.com. Is that it, right?
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate being on.
Thank you so much again. So my name is Michael Alden. Again, this episode is brought to you by Cloisonne. It's CLOIXONNE.com, one of the fastest growing network marketing companies in the country. They're kind of changing the ways people think about network marketing. If you want to make a little bit of money, if you want to make a lot of money, or if you just want to kind of change your financial future with something that's real, then go to CLOIXONNE.com. I know they haven't even launched yet, and from what I'm told, there's people already, the website's already been shut down a couple of times because there's so many people going to it. So go to CLOIXONNE.com. That's Cloisonne.com. Chris, thank you so much for being my guest. I'm so excited that you took the time, and I'm inspired by you, man. I can't wait to finish the rest of your book. My name is Michael Alden, and this has been another edition of The Alden Report.
All right, guys, how many times have you had days where your underwear just doesn't fit or feel right? I've had many of those days, and it's not just a personal problem, it's everyone's problem. No one likes watching you readjust. Fortunately, Tommy John has the cure. Tommy John, the 21st century men's underwear brand that provides mind-blowing comfort. I know because I discovered them, and I wear them every day. Now imagine this. Super light, breathable fabrics combined with state-of-the-art design for a fit so perfect, it's almost like wearing nothing at all, and it's impossible to get a wedgie. They even have this patented horizontal quick draw fly that'll revolutionize the way you go to the bathroom. So for a truly unbelievable undergarment experience, visit TommyJohn.com and enter Alden, ALDEN, at checkout and receive 20% off your entire first order. That's ALDEN and receive 20% off your entire first order. Guys, all of their underwear is backed by their best pair you'll ever wear, or its free guarantee, so you really have nothing to lose. Visit TommyJohn.com.